Wilson. Yeah, you can see Kelsey Mitchell right there get Wilson.
All right, fasten your seatbelts because the WNBA has revealed a masterclass in complete anarchy. Following one of the dirtiest, most rigged-looking games you have ever seen, Kelsey Mitchell is seen directly criticizing A.A. Wilson and the referees in new video and responses that are going viral. With outrageous technicals and cheap fouls, Indiana wasn't meant to lose. They were not meant to live. What transpired instead, though? They entirely changed the script. The true query is, do you believe that Vegas is now finally freaking out? I take it that the Las Vegas Aces expected a coronation when they entered their home arena? The MVP award was polished for them. The press was waiting in line to join in the festivities. Additionally, the whole script was already written. It was expected of a Wilson to rule. Indiana was expected to be outwitted by Becky Hammond. Indeed, the referees were expected to handle the situation firmly in Vegas' favor. Rather, the evening descended into a complete catastrophe. Pure hubris, careless play, and, to be honest, some of the worst officiating you'll ever see in a playoff game led to a complete collapse.
Talk about this really quick. One of the moments in the game that showed blatant inconsistency, right? And just showed, hey, y'all be paying attention to what y'all want to pay attention to, all right, in the W.
Let me tell you, nobody in their right mind would call what happened to Kelsey Mitchell a technical foul at any level of basketball. She absorbs a clear arm across her body, takes a lot of contact on a drive, and finishes the play with amazing focus. However, she is punished instead of receiving the free throw she was entitled to. Why? So the whistle was only effective in one direction, right? Because it seems that the rules simply alter when A.L. Wilson is on the floor. That turned into the evening's central theme. There is one set of requirements for Las Vegas and another for Indiana. With the exception of playing good basketball, the Aces gave it their all when they played. We're discussing anything from obvious flops to forearms to elbows. Their goal was not to win easily. They were attempting to intimidate. Here's the catch, though. Indiana did not flinch. For a moment, they were unfazed by the whistles or the cheap shots. Rather, they just stepped up their defense, executed their setups flawlessly, and penalized Vegas each and every time they faltered.
It's a part of what people are tired of, man. Tired of the inconsistencies. And the favoritism that y'all show certain teams with certain jerseys on, man. It's crazy.
You could easily see it from the outset. Not in the least bit intimidated were the Fever. Kelsey Mitchell launched an aggressive and unrelenting attack on the lane, causing the Aces to collapse, and then severely penalizing them when they sagged off. Odyssey Sims was a complete bulldog on both ends of the court, preventing either Jackie Young or Chelsea Gray from ever settling in. Additionally, Wilson was forced into those difficult fadeaways and hotly contested hooks by Aaliyah Boston and Brianna Turner, who rotated flawlessly, shutting off any easy opportunities for Wilson in the post. Out there, the Fever weren't merely getting by. The entire game's tempo was being dictated by them. Vegas, meanwhile, appeared absolutely shaken. Just a few days prior, the team that had been boasting about being the true Aces was completely disoriented. They didn't receive all of the anticipated foul calls. Each flop appeared more phony than the one before it, and they simply melted down rather than adapting. In response, Aya Wilson, who had just received her MVP award, yelled at the referees, threw elbows, and forced shots that only clanged off the rim. She fired a vicious 6 for 2 MVP total at the conclusion of the evening. Not even close.
How does the body feel at this time of the year, given all that you in particular have gone through and are always on the floor?
I'm a little sore, I'm not gonna lie. It's catching up to me, but we're gonna just keep getting warm, keep going out there, try to forget about the pain a little bit. But that's the part of the year. That's everyone. Everyone's playing with a little bit of bumps and bruises, and again, you just kind of forget about that in playoffs.
And let's not forget about those fouls, especially against Lexi Hall, who was elbowed, shoved, and knocked to the ground all night long. In addition to being against the law, these displays featured WW-level maneuvers where players extended their legs, leaned their shoulders, and stuck out their hips in an attempt to trip her. Nevertheless, whistle after whistle remained quiet. The referees simply allowed it to occur. Here's the problem, though. Rather than complaining, Paul simply strengthened her defense. Jackie Young's life became utterly unpleasant with each possession she acquired, causing her to move from north to south to east to west. Additionally, Hall had one of the best plus-minuses on the floor by the time of the final buzzer. Then, the incident that best encapsulated the whole fiasco occurred. The referees abruptly issue a technical not on Wilson, not on the Aces, on Mitchell after Kelsey Mitchell drives to the rim, makes apparent contact with Wilson, and completes the bucket. It went beyond parody at that point. Since that wasn't officiating, not even Vegas fans could believe it. It was drama, a last-ditch effort to give the home team the upper hand. The ball doesn't lie, though. Vegas failed to make any free throws. Karma appeared before the officials could hide their tracks, and Indiana buried jumpers were caught in the act. Mitchell did more than just score goals. She had something to say. The Vegas throng fell silent with each bucket. Their haughtiness was transformed into sheer terror with each three-pointer. She also had total control of the game and 34 points by the conclusion of the evening. Just ruthless shot-making, no justifications, no bailouts. With veteran poise, Odyssey Sims matched that enthusiasm, accelerating the game when Vegas was reeling and calming it down when necessary. Natasha Howard bodied larger players inside and stopped second-chance points, as if her job relied on it. Additionally, Wilson had to earn each and every point the hard way thanks to Brianna Turner. No free rotations or easy catches, just consistent, disciplined physical defense. It was expected that Indiana will fold. There were 6 players absent. There was no Caitlin Clark. Sophie Cunningham is not accessible. Sydney Carlson was slimmer than ever when he was benched. They were rejected by analysts before to tip off. Becky Hammond herself stated that Indiana hadn't seen the true aces, and commentators referred to it as a mismatch. Interpretation. This was expected to be a simple sweep, but Vegas was hit by the fever instead. Meanwhile, the Aces demonstrated their true fragility. They just don't know what to do when Wilson isn't providing them with 40-point nights. Flashes happened to Chelsea Gray. Jackie Young fired a couple bullets, but Indiana wouldn't break, so it didn't matter. Vegas fell when Wilson was sent off with foul trouble. Within minutes, a 3-point contest devolved into a 14-point loss. That's dependency, not championship basketball. Becky Hammond's post-game spin job comes next. She dismissed her team's difficulties as missed layups and squandered opportunities when asked about them. It went beyond simple denial. It was blatantly indolent. In every stage, the Fever outperformed her squad. They shot better, played cleaner, and put up a stronger defense. This was not misfortune. Indiana was just plain superior. But Hammond was unable to acknowledge it. She couldn't claim that Aaliyah Boston outperformed her MVP. She hid behind cliches because she couldn't acknowledge that Lexi Hall and Odyssey Sims had squeezed her veterans. In contrast, the atmosphere in the Fever locker room was very different. Kelsey Mitchell didn't hold back when speaking. She acknowledged Vegas's talent and showed respect where credit was due, but she made it very evident that Indiana had come to compete and they had no intention of leaving. Her remarks weren't outbursts of rage. They were confident, well-controlled bow shots. She pointed out the absurdity without complaining, describing how her team battled through foul play and poor officiating, which is what gave the evening its lyrical quality. The headlines, the buzz, and the hardware were all in Vegas. Indiana was tough, hardy, and unyielding. The scoreboard told the tale by the end of the match. Aces 73, Fever 89 on their home court. The 6th seed, whom everyone wrote off, stunned the expected powerhouse on MVP night. This is the statistic about best-of-5 series that Vegas does not want to hear. 72% of winning teams move on to the next round. Thus, Indiana didn't simply win. They changed the series' overall odds. They made a crisis out of what was meant to be a coronation. The irony of the entire evening is nearly unbearable. The cameras had been trained on A.A. Wilson grinning while holding her MVP award hours earlier. The league's golden child is hailed as the face of women's basketball and is untouchable and unstoppable. Then, in a matter of hours, she was elbowing, missing layups, and pleading with referees to save her from a fever team that had half of its squad out. The alleged coronation was actually shame, because what occurs on the court is what counts when you take away the publicity and the hoopla. Additionally, the Fever was better on the court. They had more edge. They were more ravenous. Most significantly, they lacked fear. Consider Boston, Aaliyah. Although she doesn't receive as much attention as Wilson, she delivered a brilliant defensive performance. Since Boston Turner and Howard never gave her an inch, Wilson shot 6 for 22 from the field. Each post-up was disputed.